as shin splints. This is not medical advice, not specific medical advice. If you have ongoing shin splints that's not going away and it's kind of progressively getting worse, then you need to go see someone, because the worst case scenario in a shin splint is it could lead to stress fractures in the front of the shin, the tibia. And so we want to make sure that we're not just pushing through, don't worry about it, we're going to be fine, we can keep going, and creating that impact and that overstress on the anterior shin, because it could lead to bigger problems and then actually having to sit out for a longer period of time. So shin splints are an irritation of that shin bone. Sometimes it's a medial, which is the inside part, and sometimes it's the outside. So I've had shin splints in the past, and it was from running. And when I would stretch my calves, my shin splints would be better. So my experience with shin splints and that acute pain is really because your calves are more tight and you need to create that mobility. Now, again, you've been following me for a while. You know that I don't think that just stretching is the answer. I think there's a key, like, why do your calves tighten up in the first place? Sometimes I find in the clinic that the calves are, which is, gastroc, soleus, and toe flexors, may be compensating for your anterior core, your glutes, or your quads. So as a rule, I always teach you, if you're going to stretch, you need to do a stability exercise after. And I prefer doing mobility work where you are taking the joint and the muscle through its full range of motion, and you're hitting both sides of the joint. So for a calf stretch, you might stand on a step with the ball of your feet, which is like just behind the toes on the step, and drop your heels down with your knees straight till you'll feel a stretch up into the back of the calf, the back of the knee. And then raise up on the toes all the way up without letting your feet roll out. Trying to control that motion. You'll go down till you feel a stretch, come up till you feel that tighten. You can do one at a time. You can do both together. Hold on for balance. This is not your balance work. This is just creating some mobility through those calves. I also really like inchworms, because that stretches the posterior core at the same time as stabilizing the anterior core, and you get some dynamic movement with walking your feet. My cheerleaders at practice used to not love doing inchworms, and they'd kind of rush through them, but they're one of the best exercises that you can do, because they will strengthen and stabilize at the same time, and they create that mobility that we need for jumping and tumbling. So I love inchworms for creating that stability at the same time. And then my main go-to exercises are some weight shifting exercises. Generally, foot on a step, weight shifting forward, moving your pelvis forward over your front leg to get that weight in, allowing the foot to pronate, and then easing back and allowing the foot to supinate, kind of rocking back and forth. Why do I like this? It mobilizes the foot in a weight-bearing position, which is what we do in everything that we do. It creates pronation and supination, the two big motions that we need in the foot. There's more, but the two, combined motions that happen with every step that we take. And then it works up at the knee and the hip also. You can get some great thigh work, some quad work, the front of your thigh, and you can get some glute work. So, and it will kind of combine the two, the stretch. You also get a stretch of the soleus and the toe flexors if you're not gripping your toes. So always be careful not to grip your toes. Let's talk the big rock in the room with shin splints. When I talked in the beginning about potentials for stress fractures, it's really important to stop. Basically, a shin splint is an overworked and overused irritation of the structure in the front of the shin. So you need to rest. Doesn't mean you have to stop everything altogether, but if it hurts when you handspring, don't do 1,000 handsprings at practice. If you have to do it through a routine, and you're marking full out, great, do it one time, let it rest, do some mobility work in between. If it's progressing and getting worse, then yes, you have to pull yourself out and actually have to stop. If it's kind of easing as you're going, let it rest. Take some time, stop doing the activity that creates that repetitive strain, and let your body heal. Do the work in between and do other activities that don't aggravate it. It's perfectly fine to cycle. generally jumping and impact activities are going to create more of that strain. So the landing on the handsprings, the jumps, partner stunting, and you're jumping a lot there, that potentially could irritate that. So use your best judgment, see what you need to do to quiet that down and let things rest, and then progress as you're able. Again, if something is continuing, if it's longer than 2 weeks and you can't get things to calm down, then you should check with your physical therapist and get assessed, check out your movement so that you can get things moving and feeling better.